Humans, welcome to the very first edition of our BLOBS podcast featuring Alemus. Today we're gonna speak about his atypical life experiences, his world tour, his career in stone cutting, and then we'll go over his transition into the metaverse and building in the Sandbox. Alemus is also the holder of the BLOB Martin. Hi Alemus,
Hello everyone. Hello Edik.
how are you, man?
I'm good, and you?
I'm very good, very good.
I wanted to thank you for welcoming me on this podcast for the first edition.
Of course, I'm very excited to have it with you, and because you have a very interesting life and a lot of anecdotes about everything you went through. So you told me a bit about it in private, but now I'm very happy that you can share it with the whole community.
Yes, that's true. I mean, I don't know. For me, it hasn't been something really special because it's my life, you know. But yeah, I understand that for some people it might be something, I don't know, different and something unusual, of course.
So, man, tell us a bit about yourself, your education, your early career, and family.
Right, it's complicated to say everything, but basically I grew up in a house under renovation because my father bought a house to renovate and it was really like a ruined at first, and for about maybe 10 years of my life this house was under renovation, and then my parent divorced, etc., and finally I went to live with my mother. We were in an apartment. Of course, it wasn't a very good period for my life, you can imagine, of course. And uh, well, finally, or today, I relate that to the fact that the house wasn't the renovation. Well, it's not
Yeah.
exactly the case, but somehow every time I was in a house under renovation, I felt good. And every time I was in a finished apartment or house or flat or whatever you can imagine, I was feeling depressed, etc. So it's quite funny somehow, or I don't know, something a bit unusual, maybe. And so after once, I grew up. I wasn't really adapted to the society, the school, the system in general. And when I was about 15, I decided to go in a professional school, and so I went to
Okay.
I went in a open door in a professional school, and I saw different different work that I was like, oh, it seems to be cool. And so I started to search for a school. Well, my parent, of course, searched for a school where there was those different work, different, I don't know, different field in the school. And there was a school not so far, about 40 minutes driving from our place, where there was um, this different work to learn. So I decided to go in that school, and the great thing about this class was that I had about 2 hours of cooking, 2 hours of electricity, 2 hours of even 3D program, like we were working
Oh.
on how it was SolidWorks. I had also 2 hours. Yeah, and the most important, I had 2 hours of stone cutting and 2 hours of metal work. And for me, at first, I thought I wanted to do metal work, but what pushed me towards stone cutting was not so much the work itself, but the community around it. The people who were actually stone cutter were more interesting in general, at least for me, than the people who were working with metal. So I decided to go with stone cutting, and that's how I ended up there.
You will speak more about that later and we'll show some of your work as well because it's truly amazing.
Of course, of course. And so after working for about 10 years as a stone cutter in a company, So you have to differentiate stone cutting, stone carver, and stone mason. I was working as a
Okay.
stone cutter and stone mason. So the difference is the way to abort the material. To abort, I don't know if it's the right word in English. Anyway, um, the stone cutter will have a very geometrical approach of the material. So drawing always straight line to even to make circle, you draw a lot of straight line to get to that circle.
Okay.
And the stone carver use another technique, which is by triangulation, a bit like a satellite, but at a smaller scale with three different compass on a table. And so you have three fixed points on your table and target some points like nose, the eyes, etc. For example, if you make a face, and then you will really get those 3D detail by yeah triangulation mostly, and then you link all those points. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, it's a bit technical maybe, but anyway, I was working as
I
a
get it.
stone cutter and stonemason, and after a few years doing that, I decided to buy a house first, and this house it was a house under renovation. It wasn't a very expensive house, and it was yeah. I mean, I was only 22, so I had to find something cheap to
Okay.
renovate, and so that's what I did, and
Where
finally.
was this? Can you give us more context?
So it's when it was 2022. I'm from
And where? Which country?
so it's in northeast of France. Actually, it's on most of the
Okay.
people here will maybe know where is Alsace, and so
Oh, Alsace.
it
Okay.
was the region just next to Alsace. Actually, this village where I had my house is really at the border of Alsace and Limoges. Limoges is the region where I'm from, northeast of France.
Nice.
And so after renovating this house for maybe 1 year, I realized that yeah, I had a lot of fun doing it, yeah. But yeah, finally, yeah, I had to see something else. I had to do something else in my life, and yeah. Also, what I didn't say is that how did I get to make a house is that I was very addicted by a video game which was Minecraft for who knows, and basically from Minecraft building cubes in virtual world, I decided to renovate a real house and to let my creativity there. But yeah, well, to come back to where I was is that after renovating this house, I understood that it was not enough, that I was expecting more from life, and I decided to go traveling by bicycle. So
A bicycle.
yeah, by bicycle. Yeah. So to to make short, I rode, I don't know how to say in English, ride anyway, ride my bike till Central Asia, from northeast of France.
Damn.
So I crossed about 20 country. I don't remember the exact number. Um, but yeah, so from northeast of France, I went first in south of France, um, where I stayed a little bit to my grandparents' place because yeah, I needed to test the material and to eventually buy the few things I was missing. And after that, I decided to go east from south of France because anyway, if you go west, except going in Spain, you don't go very far. So yeah, I decided to go east, and I did not have any endpoint or any goal or any deadline or yeah, I just knew I was riding a bit like really free finally. It's really a way to travel freely because when I was tired, I was just stopping, sleeping, continuing cycling next day. If I wasn't too tired, if I was still tired, I was sleeping one more day, or not sleeping, but just staying busy or enjoying the life. And
Nice.
so, yeah, that was really nice. And so from France, I first went to Italy, and then from Italy, I went to Slovenia, but not knowing which was next country. So I was just deciding as, just okay, this road looked nice. Let's take this road, and let's see where it leads me. Uh,
Following your instinct.
exactly, exactly. I mean, I still had a map, not to really arrive in the, but
Okay.
I did not have any GPS until I arrived to, I think it was to Armenia. But anyway, so for like about 15,000 kilometers, I did not have any GPS.
So
Um,
it was completely a choice, right? Like you wanted to get kind of lost in there in your trip and
yes,
just be free, right?
yeah, of course. That was the idea. Not necessarily to get lost, because it's when you get lost that you will really find yourself. But uh,
Nice. Good
yeah, but
one.
it's really true. Um,
Yeah.
when you feel lost, finally, you are usually in the most beautiful places you can find in the world. And
Yeah.
the most beautiful places are not the places that are very touristic or where I don't know, where many people are going. The place you will find the most beautiful, I mean, for me at least, are usually the places where it's really hard to get to. And harder it is, more beautiful is the place. But it's not,
Yeah.
it's also your brain that trick you to think that, for sure.
Okay.
And so, yeah, from Slovenia, I went to Croatia, then Bosnia, Montenegro, Albania, Macedonia, Bulgaria, Greece, Turkey. From Turkey, I went to Georgia, then Armenia. I took a visa for Russia at that time in Armenia, and I crossed back Georgia and went back to went so after I went to Russia, I crossed Chechnya, where it was really a special place. I mean, Chechnya is no nowadays a country in well, country, a region, autonomous region of Russia, but it's really different than the rest of Russia. Uh, and um, then I went to Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, again Kazakhstan, again Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, and then I took back the plane to Georgia, and you will understand why later.
Okay.
And finally, my trip ended there. But that's already a
In Georgia.
pretty long trip, yes, to Georgia. Um,
So how long did you stay in each place in each of these countries?
well, it depends. I really stayed to some very different time. It was really depending on I don't know how I felt in that country and etc. But in total, I can say that this trip was about 1.5 year long.
Ooh,
Um,
okay.
and I arrived probably about 25,000 kilometers with the bike. After I
25,000 kilometers?
yes, 25. Um,
Thousand, that's crazy.
but after I did some kilometers also by train a little bit in Kazakhstan mostly, because it was really
Okay.
huge distances and the steppe in Kazakhstan are really terrible to ride. It's just totally flat, and there is nothing, no trees, no, I don't know, the landscape doesn't change for thousands of kilometers and it's just so boring.
Yeah.
So I took a train, and I slept for 12 hours in the train. And when I woke up, I looked through the window, the landscape did not change at all. This was so crazy. And well, the reason why I took the train is that actually, that's probably one of my scariest moments while traveling. Is that I was riding my bicycle during the day on this really flat land. There is only one road crossing the steppe. This electric,
Yeah.
you can imagine like a totally flat land, some grass in the field, in the landscape, but except that you don't see anything except an electric line that follow the road, and that's it. You cross some cars sometimes, but yeah. That's it. And you just
Crazy.
ride,
So,
and
so was it a desert?
it's not exactly a desert.
Desert.
It's what is called steppe, but
Okay.
yeah, it's just a huge wasteland. Yeah, that's true. But it's not a desert in the way that there is still some humidity. And that's the reason why I got scared actually. It's because yeah, about maybe at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon or three, I started to see some black cloud behind me. So I started to ride, and
Sheesh.
I had a very good tailwind, and I was cycling it, and I was cycling really, really fast with the tailwind. When you're cycling, the wind is very important. If you get front wind, you
Yeah.
stop. If you get tailwind, you just ride super fast.
You fly.
And yeah, you fly almost. Yeah, you feel like you have one more leg. and and yeah, so I was cycling. I had tailwind, and the black clouds, they were still coming slowly closer and closer. And at about four, maybe there was black cloud on the right, black cloud on the left, and black cloud behind, but just a blue corridor, in front of me. And I was like, let's go, let's
Insane.
go, let's go, let's go. And I was cycling like crazy. I probably ride about 70 kilometers like this straight, in total that day. I think that has been my biggest day. I probably ride about 120 kilometers in the day. But yeah, so I was basically racing against the storm. But how can you win against the storm, yeah? And so
Yeah.
suddenly the black clouds got back to me, and the wind changed the direction, and then suddenly I got stopped like a wall, like a wall just
Wow.
in front of me, and I couldn't move anymore. The rain came, and the storm, of course, with the lightning and stuff. And in the middle of the steppe, you're the only thing that stick out from the ground except this electric line. Yeah, and crazy wind and crazy. It was really crazy. And so the only thing I had to do is to put the tent, but to put the tent when there is a lot of wind, it's complicated. And so I still managed to put the tent, but also not too close from the electric line, because if the lightning fall on the electric line, you might get toasted. And if
That's
you get
crazy.
too
Yeah.
far, you might get toasted also. So I tried to make a triangle between the electric line, the ground, and stuff. And yeah, finally, yeah, for like 5 minutes, I was holding my tent and hoping the tent wouldn't fly with everything. And so next day after that, I took the train. And the funny part is next day, well, like 2 days later, when I arrived in the guest house, because I stayed in the guest house after that, the owner of the guest house showed me a video on his phone and say, "Look, it was in the steppe yesterday." And he showed me a video of a tornado. I was like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
I did not see
I
it. I
was
was
there.
hiding, but yeah." So yeah, that was maybe the moment I got the most scared, but everything was fine finally. And I don't think I got lucky. I mean, it was fine. Anyway,
Crazy. So
yeah.
Ali Musman, tell us a bit about your preparation for this trip, like to come back to your early destinations. So France, then Italy. So what did you have in mind? Like, did you know you would go that far? Were you ready to go that far? Did you have all your equipment with you? What did you take with you? You know?
Yeah, I was ready to go anywhere to do
Yeah.
anything, but I was also ready to stop if it wasn't for me.
Okay.
Basically, for the equipment, I did not prepare any thing physically to for this trip before. I did not cycle at all. I did not train. I did not. No, I just one day set on my bike and just left.
Yeah.
For the material, I had basically everything so all the material necessary for summer, for winter, to cook, to sleep, to eat, etc. So every clothes you might need for winter and summer, and also, I don't know, the pot, the cooking stove, the tent, of course, the sleeping bag, the mattress, and etc. The bicycle with all the
That's
material was about 50 kilo, and I was about
crazy.
70. So in total, me plus the bicycle, it was 120 kilo to pull.
Damn. Did you have your food ready? Like, did you bring some food with you?
I was buying food a bit every day, yeah, of course. Maybe not every
Okay,
day,
okay,
depending on where I was. Sometimes, and mostly in Tajikistan, it was hard to find food, and sometimes for I had to plan 3, 4 days food before, because when you cross
okay.
some no man's land, it's just better to have your own food.
Because you
Um,
really went through every kind of landscapes. Like sometimes you were in the city, sometimes, as you said, you were in the steppes where
yeah,
you had nothing. Like it's crazy to go through all these different kinds of environments.
yeah, it's an amazing experience, and I would recommend anyone to do it. Everybody who feels and who hesitate eventually, just try it. What I don't know, what do you lose for trying? Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there is no shame also to start for 1 week, 1 month, and say, oh, it's not for me. I just stop. Yeah, for me it wasn't a shame. I was like, yeah, maybe I will ride for 1 month, maybe I will ride for 1 year. Who knows? I just go and we'll see. So I did not take it too seriously. I did not make any blog, anything. The only thing I was sending it was email once a month to say to everybody who was interested, where I am, what do I do,
Oh, nice.
what I might plan, but not even so much what I was planning. I was mostly talking about what I did.
Okay.
And some people were following my tracks on the
Yeah.
map, of course.
On the map,
Yeah,
really?
yeah, yeah, they were looking on the map. Oh, yeah, he went to that
Okay.
city, and some people who traveled many years were telling me like, oh, you should go see that. It's really cool, and
Okay.
yeah. Mm,
And so you must have met some crazy people along the way, right?
yeah, of course, I met some crazy travelers, but also I don't know some people in general, but I did not meet any bad people. Sometimes people are also afraid and think, oh, but aren't you scared to travel alone? Because I was mostly alone while traveling. And
Okay.
finally, you meet more people for sure. And that's another reason why the bicycles, because, yeah, people, when they see you by bicycle, you are not too fast. They can say hi, they can talk to you while you are cycling.
Yeah.
They can always catch you easily, or catch you. I mean, not catch you literally, but catch you by speaking, "Hey, what are you doing?" or something like this. And yeah, it's really a interesting experience. But bad people I didn't meet at all. Just once in Croatia, maybe at 5 o'clock in the morning, a guy in a camping. So you see, it's not even in the nature area. In a camping,
Yeah.
a guy started to open my tent in the middle of
Really?
in,
Oh,
in
damn.
the
That's
middle of the
scary, man.
night, and I say, "Oh, what the fuck?
That's very scary.
What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a bit scary, but finally, what are you doing? And the guy said, "Oh, sorry, sorry." He left. So finally, it was.
No way.
I think he thought there was nobody in that tent.
Okay.
um, But after you have other story, funny, like in Turkey, for example, a shepherd, because shepherds are really nice people usually. I mean, I always had great experience with shepherd. And this time at 5 o'clock in the morning, he also came. He saw my tent, so he was a bit surprised. But it was night, yeah. So he had the light and everything, and he was basically doing the transhumance of the sheep. And
Okay.
transhumance, it means moving the sheep from one place to another. Uh, and yeah, he was starting at night, and he saw my tent. He was surprised, so he got closer to, and finally he opened the tent to understand what was happening, and he put his light in my face. I never saw the face of that guy. he,
Yeah.
he, he saw probably very well my face, and he just asked the 10 usual questions you get when you travel, like, where are you from? What are you doing here? Are you not scared? Do you have children? Do you have wife? I don't know, this kind of question. basic
And did you
question.
at the time did you have a wife and children? It's
Mm,
actually interesting to know.
No, at the time I did not have any wife or children, and when people were asking, I was usually saying, "No woman, no cry, man."
Okay.
Of course, they were always laughing because it's
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It was really an
And who
interesting
are
time.
some like nice travelers you shared something with or you learned something from?
Um, well,
Because like I think that many people do the same as you, right? Like many people actually
yes,
travel the world
yeah,
as you
of course,
by biking or maybe running, maybe.
yeah. So there are some really crazy people out there. There are maybe the most crazy one I met was a unicycling guy. So he was
Unicycling?
unicycling. Yeah, he was traveling the world by unicycle. So yeah, basically one wheels bicycle. And he
Yeah.
actually did it for charity and cross he made a full tour around Earth. So he was in
Ooh.
every continent. I don't know if he did Africa, I'm not sure, but he did Australia for sure, Asia, Europe, and US. And his main goal was, well, at least what he was saying was to to make some charity donation to some children in Southeast Asia, I think, to bring them a scholarship and this kind of thing.
Okay.
But I think mostly he just had this idea to travel and said like, okay, let's do it for a reason, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great idea to do it for some charity because, but then you also don't have so much the choice anymore to say no, I want to stop. So if you're sure
Yeah,
of
yeah,
yourself,
yeah.
you can do it. But if you're not sure, if you're more like me, maybe better not, because then people are waiting from you, and it's not always cool to say to everybody, it wasn't for me. And you cannot say that to big audiences. I mean, you can, but it's not easy. Yeah, so
So
yeah.
for you, like you did it with no specific reason in mind except for like doing something new and exciting and feeling free.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So
And
what was so how could you always like at what like how did you find always the motivation to go one more step, to go one more country, to I don't
mm,
know, like what was your fuel during all this time, your energy?
I have no idea exactly what was my fuel, but one thing sure is that because I've been creative with my work for 10 years before traveling, and even before that in my life in
Mm-hmm.
general, I've been always creating things. And maybe I was interested to know how other people build, partly, but also one thing that I needed while traveling was to create myself. And I cannot say it was really a fuel. Huh? It wasn't a fuel, but it's just a little thing I was doing while traveling. And you will probably see it
Okay.
in the pictures. I was making some wooden statue in each country I was crossing. So if you look on my bike, I attached to statue, and there is for one for France, one for Italy, Slovenia, Croatia, and in the order they are all in the right order, so you can find for each country the one for which country it was. Um, yeah, and basically each each one of them had some kind of symbolic to my. I mean, I did not especially search to make any symbol in particular, but every time I was making one, I could relate something from this statue in what happened to me in that country. It was not on purpose, but it's just how it happened. And yeah, um, what else?
What was your favorite destination now that you've been through so many places? If you
So
had to pick one, you know.
if I had to pick one, to live, it's Georgia, because finally, after traveling many years, many months, I met a girl in Georgia, and
Oh,
I finally married that girl, and I'm yeah. Um, so today I would say if I have to live somewhere, it's of course Georgia. But otherwise, if some people wonder which is the best country in the world, there are no best country. Every country have some good and bad points. Um, of course, there are some countries that are easier to live, but there are also some harder thing in those countries, like the administrations or this kind of thing. The administrative part in some countries just
yeah.
terrible. When I look in France now, it's just so complicated to do some administrative things. And yeah, for me, it's just too
W-
complicated.
Was it a like? Did you need visas to for each country, or
So
how did you manage to travel
So
through everything?
As French citizen, for most of the country, we don't need visa. The only I
Okay.
needed visa was Kazakhstan, I think. No, Kazakhstan, I still did not need visa. Kyrgyzstan, no, I don't need visa for Kyrgyzstan. Tajikistan and Uzbekistan and Russia, of course. So yeah, that's the thing basically. Uh, Only 3, 4 visa during my whole trip. Of course, it's easier
Okay.
as a French
That's
citizen
very
than
cool.
if you are Iranian,
Yeah.
for example. The Iranian people cannot have one of the worst passport in the world. Um,
Yeah.
um, yeah. So, what else do you want to know?
So I wanted to know like what's the part of this trip that you're the most proud of? Like after
Most
taking a step back.
proud of?
Yeah.
Ha, maybe Tajikistan. Yeah, because I mean,
Yeah.
physically speaking, it's the hardest part of the trip.
Okay.
Riding until 4,500 meters elevation is something really, really hard and challenging. Not only because you don't breathe properly, but also because, I mean, everything is making you under pressure. Yeah, because the only thing crazy is the landscape. You get to see some landscape you don't see anywhere else in the world. But out of that, it's physically really hard because you don't breathe well. Then you don't find some proper food. For example, to find bread, it was like super complicated.
Oh.
And you don't meet anybody for some days sometimes. And except maybe one shepherd or one guy with a horse. And yeah, it was a bit hard. But I mean, it's also the most rewarding, you know. So yeah, you have to choose between what's yeah, but proud. Yeah, I can say I'm proud that I managed to do this road, even though in the end when I went back in the valley, I got sick because I yeah, some people in the park of this the capital, I think, no, not the capital, the park of one of the city, a guy offered us some grape, you know, and he washed the grape with the water from the tap, and they had some
Yeah.
huge problem with water in that city, and basically we got sick with some amoeba. And so after that we got, I mean, at that time I met another guy and we traveled together, but we had to take a car to bring us to the capital to be able to go to hospital and get some antibiotics to kill those fuck
Oh,
yeah,
really?
those parasites. Yeah.
That's crazy. Being sick on the other side of the
Yeah, I mean,
planet, literally.
it was not really a big sick, you know. It was some. I mean, basically the effects are that one day you will feel perfectly fine, you will ride quite well, and And next day, I don't know, you feel so bad and you just go sleep at 6 in the evening, and yeah,
Okay.
you sleep really well until next day, and next day you feel good again, so you ride again, and the next day you feel bad and gain good and gain bad. So yeah, it's not such a terrible sickness, but still, I think it's not good to keep it for too long anyway, for sure. But yeah, I cannot say I really risked my life so much during this trip. Some people think that yes, when I in Croatia crossed this minefield, because yeah, I crossed a minefield in Croatia, and
Oh, whoa.
yeah, but it wasn't that bad. I mean, there was basically sign that were saying careful on mine, something like this, and basically, as long as I was following the main track, I think there was no problem, because some car passed since more recently than 10 years, maybe the past month. I could see that there was some car track in the mud. So at that point, I was like, okay, as long as I stay on the main road, there won't be any problem. Yeah. Of course, I wasn't gonna walk in the grass, and actually, I'm really happy I took this road, because when I got back in the village after that, I saw two baby wolves in the village. I don't know.
Baby wolves.
Yeah, yeah, I saw some wolves. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I took some pictures, but I mean, the pictures were so far we couldn't see them. But yeah, it was amazing. And finally, yeah, for that time, for 2 days, I didn't meet anybody, and it was really great. I feel less scared on this kind of place than when I'm in a camping, for example. Finally, humans are more dangerous than than animals. Well, it depends where, of course. I wouldn't, yeah, I wouldn't do that maybe in some places. I don't know why not. But yeah, in some
Yeah.
places you have to be careful with the bears, not to keep the food in your tent and this kind of thing. But yeah, it's just some habit to take. And
So, like, when you're talking about this, for example, like,
yeah.
when you left France, like, did you know all these surviving rules, or did you just learn them
Yeah,
on the way?
mostly I knew a little bit, of course. My stepfather is a forest keeper, so he was a forest keeper,
Oh,
so he's retired today. But so of course I mean I've been always a little bit in nature, and understanding a little bit that animals are scared of you more than you are of them. Even if you're very scared of a wolf, the wolf is even more scared of you. So
really? Even wolves?
yeah, of course. The wolf usually he's gone before you arrive. If you see it, you can
Okay.
estimate yourself lucky, because it's really rare to be able to see a wolf. At least
I
in
actually didn't know that.
yeah, yeah, it is. And one time, maybe the living thing that annoyed me the most during my trip out of human, but human did not annoy me so much, but the it was the ants. The ants, it was really the worst thing, because the ants, once they get in your bag of food, you it's really hard to get rid of them, because the bag, there are some little corner in the bag where they, I don't know, they make their nest, or I don't know what. And I don't remember in
Damn.
which country I got some ants in my bag, but I kept those ants in my bag for, I don't know, like 5,000 kilometers maybe.
Really?
Yeah, they really, I mean, I carried ants for so long. And maybe you have seen in the pictures, this picture with my tent where the ants crawl to get inside. Oh, it's terrible.
Sheesh.
And a friend of mine got also very bothered by the ants. They made a hole in his tent, and during the night, he wake up because he hears like a rain, like a stock, 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 and it
Yeah.
was like, oh, start to rain. What the fuck? It was such a great weather today. And finally, it wasn't the rain; it was the ants that made a hole in his tent and were falling on the floor
No
of the
way.
floor of the tent. And when
Sheesh.
he realized that he was completely invaded by the ants, and he got out of the tent running. Yeah, that's
Yeah, I can imagine.
all right. So, do you have any other question about this trip?
So tell us about the end and how you went back into civilization. How was it? Was it easy?
I cannot say it was easy. Hopefully, I did not come back straight in France because it would have been really hard, I think, even harder. And I
Yeah.
cannot say I settled down directly. I cannot even say now I settled down perfectly. I'm still
Really?
moving a lot around. Yeah, I cannot say I really settled down. And
So,
I don't know if I will be able one day to 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 have a house and say it's where I want to live till the end of my life. I don't think it's gonna happen. Uh,
yeah. How long ago was it?
so it was about maybe 6, 7 years ago. Yeah,
Okay.
6, 7 years. It was in 2020. No, wait, 2015, I think. Yeah, 2015. It's on the page of the comic book. um,
Sheesh.
and yeah, how it ended up. How did I decide to stop? So that's an interesting question. I think I was cycling to the in the steppe in Kazakhstan, and of course, well, like I said, it was really boring, and the only thing to do was to think. Think at
Yeah.
what am I doing here? Why do I do that finally? It's been so long I cycling, and what am I doing here? And finally, I decided to maybe do another trip one day, but differently. First, I don't want to do another trip alone like I did. And um,
Really? I thought that was the point and that was one of the
of
most
course,
interesting
and I,
part.
of course, it was the most interesting and it was the point. But and if it was to do again, I would definitely do it again. But today I'm also more into sharing this experience, and I would like to share this experience with my wife because she hasn't traveled that much, and
Okay.
I think, yeah, I want to do it again with her. And so this crazy project I have since the Kazakhstan steppe, the Kazakh steppe, yeah, is
Yeah.
to build this bamboo tricycle. So imagine three wheels in bamboo, so like a bicycle but bamboo, and
Yeah.
in tandem, so two-person on it. And the original idea was to put a big music box on the back that was playing in the same time that I can drive,
Oof.
and also some little, I don't know, like marionette moving on the back of the bicycle, and really do some, I don't know, some crazy thing moving, and some really, like, the bicycle is also very alive.
Yeah.
The tricycle, in that case. But yeah, this project is a bit aside now. I cannot say I will never do it. I think I will probably try to do it one day. But for
Is
now,
your wife a biker by pure curiosity?
no, not at all. Not at all. But I'm not a biker either,
Okay.
since I ended up
Yeah,
traveling. I
true.
never really ride a bike again. I mean, okay, a little bit, but not,
Damn, never
yeah,
again.
no,
Oh.
not. I'm not a passionate person about cycling. I'm not. Yeah, that's the funny part. Yeah,
It was just a one-time thing.
yeah, it was a one-time thing, but not maybe not one time, but it was just a great way to travel around the
Yeah.
world. because if you are with a car or a motorbike, you don't meet so much the people, and you will stay eventually in guest
Yeah.
house because you cannot find some like hidden place to put your tent, or you will camp in some, I don't know, in some ugly places, or but when you're cycling, you just can find a mud road and just ride for 1 kilometers on the or even 500 meters on this mud road, and then you are in the middle of nowhere, and it's just so great. And you can
Yeah.
also get closer to the river, put your bike there without being afraid that somebody's gonna steal something. And also when people see you with bicycle, they don't necessarily think that yeah, they don't think you are very rich or whatever, and it's also a good thing because if you travel with a big motorbike, they usually see you as a rich person, or with a car, they see you as a rich person, or even if you're not traveling but just like a tourist, then they see you as a person to milk eventually. And
Oh, okay, I see.
but when you are cycling, people are more trying to help you to accomplish your trip. They give you some things, they are just happy to help, and they give you some, I don't know, some religious thing to attach on your bike, and to it's like, for them it's like you're making a pilgrimage sometime, and they believe that if they give you something, part of them will be with you. and
Yeah.
and so yes, people are really nice with bicycle travelers in general. And also I've met some other crazy guy who were just hiking, never taking any car or whatever, but then I think it would be too slow for me. And I mean, to be able to
Hmm.
walk on it 30 kilometers per day, or even 50 if you're really, really feeling good, I think it's a bit too little. And yeah, there are this amazing point where you can get even in some even more wild place, but also you're much less comfortable because you cannot carry so much material. You cannot carry a big tent, you cannot carry proper food, and I think it's an important thing. And I mean, I've been cooking and eating great things while traveling, like those wild strawberry jam I made. It was just such a
Yeah.
nice thing. Yeah, but yeah, and so finally in those Kazakh step, I got to get back to this idea. I got this idea of cycling, tree cycling around the world, but maybe for some purpose, like I don't know, talk a bit about environment. And eventually, I was thinking maybe every Sunday we gather every trash we see on the road and throw it in the nearest trash bin. And people would feel it crazy, but why this guy is cycling and carrying the trash with him till the
Yeah.
next trash bin? But maybe that would make people think a little bit and try to throw less shit everywhere.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's for now only a project, and let's see, one day, why not? For now, it's a bit, yeah, also we need some financial security, of course, and yeah, you cannot do that. I mean, yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy right now. But yeah, so after I had this idea, I decided to ended up my trip more or less in Central Asia. Plus, the visa were getting complicated to get to go in China and a bit further. So it was also a good occasion to return from the beginning. I mean, at that point, I thought, okay, I will return in France through another road that I took, but then I changed my idea because in midtime, this girl I met in Georgia, we were writing more and more by mails, and then we were calling each other, and then yeah, then I got in a hurry to get back in Georgia, and finally I got back to Georgia by plane. So yeah, so that's what I did, and today this girl is my wife. So it's just a nice story, I think.
That's a crazy story. Yeah, that's an amazing story, man,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And well, it's my wife only since a little bit more than a year now, but we were intending to get married during COVID, and well, not during
Yeah.
COVID, but basically we planned to get married in April 2020. And 1 month before the wedding, we had to cancel everything, and that was so awful.
Sheesh.
But yeah, finally, we still got married. Just well, we signed the paper and made a very tiny party. That was nice. And so,
And so,
yeah,
man, to change the subject a bit, to come back, like, about what you're doing. So, you told us that before leaving for this world trip, you used to work as a stone cutter.
yes.
So, do you still do today?
So,
Or did you still work as a stone cutter when you came back, after you came back?
so after finishing my trip, I did few things. Um, but I cannot say I do it full time now because I know how to do many more things than stone cutting. I know how to deal electricity, plumbing, plasterboard, tiling the floor, basically everything that touched the renovation of a house. I managed to do it, and
Okay.
so I have more work than for stone. But I can talk about this crazy project I had the luck to do, and that's clearly the most amazing thing I did. Maybe not most amazing thing I did in my life, but like most amazing work I did in my life. And so I dug this cave completely. So it was basically a rock, a big rock. You can imagine a huge rock, like I don't know, really big. And basically, I started to dig a hole, and it was like a childhood dream for me to dig a hole and to have like a house, a cave house. And so yeah, I dug this hole, and as long as the idea was to make a round room with horse for horse saddle. So that was the first thing I made, and um, the main idea was to make a round room with a pillar in the center of this round room. But while making this
Okay.
pillar, I saw some branch appearing slowly, and I was like, "Oh, that look a little bit like a tree. What if I make a tree?" And the owner of the place where I made that told me, "Yeah, do whatever you want." And so I did not tell him I was making a tree. I closed the room and I started to make the tree, and he saw the tree only after 1 week, and the work was already really
Wow.
advanced. And when he entered, he was really, really amazed because, yeah, it looks so great. I mean, that's clearly the
It's
proudest,
cool.
my proudest work also, and yeah, I'm really proud of it. And yeah, sometimes I'm not very humble about it, but yeah. Um, and so
So, so how long did it take, man? Can you tell us more about the
so
details of this?
for this first settle room with the central tree pillar in the middle, it took me about 2 months to make. So digging and
Damn.
carving fully the ceiling. Um, then then these people called me and like a few years later and told me, "Ah, we want to make another room. Are you interested?" And of course, I was interested. So that I went there a few times and I made the kitchen, the bedroom, the living room, and all of that. And they always wanted some tree, some branch, some. Yeah, in the bedroom, for
Okay.
example, they wanted it to be inspired from a yurt, this Mongol habitat. Oh, not only
Yeah.
Mongol, but yeah, this house. And so the bedroom is inspired from this house. So there is this round wooden thing on the ceiling and the branch passing through it, and the room is half a circle. So that was the inspiration. And we put a wooden floor on a wooden floor also to have this, I don't know, this warm feeling because yeah, in a cave, it's hard to think you can install wood also on the floor.
Yeah, it
And
actually
so,
look amazing. Right?
yeah, I think so. It's
Looks out of this world,
yeah,
really.
it does. I wonder what the future archaeologist will think. Because
Yeah.
where it's really amazing to do this work also is that normally, if everything goes well, in maybe 1,000 years, this these rooms will still be possible to see. Everything will still be
That's
intact
crazy, I think.
in few hundred years if nobody breaks it, you know, because naturally
Yeah.
the erosion of the rock is relatively slow, and so yeah, so that's
I will link I will link your website below this video because your work is amazing, and I encourage everyone who's watching to go check it out. You'll have bigger pictures and some videos. I
yes,
think there's a time lapse, right?
yeah. There's a time lapse of
Of
the
you.
living room,
That's amazing.
and
Just on the pictures right here, you can see that it's huge, actually, very big, like in height.
yeah, 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 it's about 5 meters, 5 meters high.
Wow,
I think so. I don't
wow.
remember exactly, but yeah. And on my website, you can also see some other craft I made. Like I actually for to propose to my wife, I made engagement ring box. And it's I think also some people are more impressed by this ring box than the than the cave sometimes, you know. That's sometimes
Really?
funny. For me, it's just a small thing I made. Of course, I enjoy to make it, but it took me also 1 year to between the moment because I had to work
Wow.
secretly, and it took me 1 year to, I don't know, make the plans and make some, I don't know, some test and see if it work and stuff. But yeah, of course, she said yes.
There's a video to this as well on the website,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes, yes. And the sound is with it. The
Okay,
sound
because
is also from a great artist that I like a lot. I mean, it's
amazing.
yeah.
And so, do you still do this? Like, are you still a stone cutter today?
Um, well, I do still occasionally. Yeah, maybe I'm gonna start a job soon. Um, depend of different things, but for now, my family and friends are need me to renovate their houses, so yeah, so I don't have time to get a job, a proper job. But yeah,
Okay.
yeah, um, yeah. That's it. I think about my job and my
So you were telling me also that you found limitations in this, right? In a way, like it's kind of
it's I cannot say it's
dangerous for a body.
yeah, I cannot say it's really limitation technically, but I realize that the older people who are still doing this job today, they are maybe sick or they are physically not disabled, but you see that they are in pain literally, and they cannot really
Yeah.
keep doing this work, and they still do because they don't have other choice. So it's really, I don't know, something complicated for me to see those people doing this job and thinking, oh, do I really want to end up like this? Maybe not. I enjoy a lot doing it. I enjoy a lot creating and this kind of thing, and yeah, I could spend all my life in it, but the problem is, yeah, if I keep doing it, how long's gonna be my life? And if it's too short,
What's the dangerous part? Is it the vibrations of when you're
mm,
digging through the?
so actually, vibration for me isn't something really bad because finally, okay, you can break your articulation and your bone or whatever,
Man, that's
but
quite bad. That's
that
quite bad.
that's quite bad. But still, today with the technology, we can fix most of that. Yeah, I mean, you can
Okay.
get some injection to or replace your knee, replace. I mean, you can today replace almost everything in your body, but the most more problematic thing is the length. If so, basically the dust is more an issue, and stone cutting. The other name for this work could be dust maker, because if people imagine today that the work of a stone cutter is mostly with the hammer and the chisel, it's completely wrong. This is 1% of the work. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Today, 95% of the work is the angle grinder. And you can imagine the dust that it makes constantly. And even if you wear a mask and every protection possible, it's first not very comfortable, and yeah, then there is also still some dust passing through the mask, and you cannot always wear the mask. Everybody realized that during COVID is that it's sometimes
Yeah.
really awful to wear the mask constantly. In winter it's okay, but in summer you cannot. So yeah, that's the reason why I decided slowly to reconvert myself to create for metaverse or other thing. And actually I discovered Sandbox and thought, yeah, why not? Why not? It seemed good, and plus I was really enjoying playing Minecraft before, so it felt a bit similar when I started to started to.
So it's such a smooth transition. But can you tell us more about Sandbox, just for the people who don't know what it is,
So
people who are watching?
Sandbox is today probably the leading metaverse, um, and uh, it's basically it's a gaming platform, metaverse, play to earn, uh, slash creator, I don't know,
Yeah.
user generated content, and so yeah, you can go see in the blob discord,
Uh,
the how is it, the sandbox for dummies that
oh
Edic
yeah,
made.
that's true. In this channel, another video, another presentation, Sandbox for Dummies is going out. And so basically, Sandbox is just a game, so a metaverse, but it's mainly a game where people can create their own experiences and their own like voxel art. That's what we call voxels, so their own objects for to use in that game and potentially to sell in the future, right? Is that a good?
Yeah, I think it's a good, yeah, a good description. Basically, the main idea is that the
Mm-hmm.
creator will be able to earn money with that. First, cryptocurrency, but of course, the cryptocurrency you can um, uh, transfer it, and every object you create or you buy will be NFTs, so linked to the blockchain, basically.
So how did you? So how was the transition going from stone cutting to becoming a 3D builder?
Well, I cannot say there was really a transition, it's just
But skill wise, like what skills did you bring from here to here, and what
um,
aspects helped you, in this?
well, during my studies of stone cutting, so I studied for about 5 years. I had some
Mm-hmm.
course on 3D program,
Okay. Yeah, you told me this
mostly
actually.
SolidWorks at that time. But of course,
Yeah.
I enjoyed to look at other programs, see how other program works, etc. So when I arrived to Sandbox, I cannot say I was completely out of this 3D creation, but I cannot say I was a great creator. But
Of course.
what makes me maybe good in VoxEdit and game maker, well, VoxEdit, is that I have very good 3D vision, and I can really see the object in 3D and place them the right way to don't know, to make them look how I think is good, and how I
Nice.
hope other think it's good too. And for the game maker, it's also related, of course, when you want to make beautiful map. And after, I can say also that yeah, I managed to understand the logic of the game maker and how it works. So from that, it's relatively easy to understand to make the how to make the game experience, etc. So for now, I've made maybe three gaming experience on the Sandbox game maker, and I cannot say exactly how many assets I've made, but probably about 20, 30 good ones, and after
Oh.
many more crap. It's actually really interesting because it's really fast and easy to create asset with this 3D program VoxEdit. I mean, it's really a basic 3D program, and if you come from Blender, it might be so easy that it seemed hard for you.
Yeah, from other 3D building softwares and stuff, like Sandbox made it super easy for anyone to enter the game and to basically start building their own stuff. Like this, like we have a picture of an asset that looks really like a tree. Basically, it's really similar to what you did in stones. What you did into stones, it's like a tree.
But basically,
It's beautiful.
by making this stone, I can this tree in rock. I understood
Mm-hmm.
that by watching the tree outside, that basically the trunk of a tree is one size, and that when a branch goes out, for example, if the branch is 20% the thickness of the tree, you have to remove 20% from the trunk. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So basically, when
Yeah.
the tree split in half, you have to reduce the diameter of the branch by the same dimension than you. I mean, it's logical because the matter of a tree still have to go, and you won't get a big branch above a small one. So
So there is still some science into it to make it look realistic.
of course, of course, and you have to understand also that a branch is usually not twisting without another branch going out. So when there is a
Mm-hmm.
branch turning, there is always another one going the other direction.
Okay.
You will think about it next time you watch a tree
Yeah,
outside.
exactly. Exactly.
And so,
And so, um, so what do you think of? So where do you see Sandbox, man? Sandbox and the metaverse. You know, we spoke a lot about these concepts earlier this year and end of last year, end of 2021. So I was wondering, where do you see them going? Where do you see Sandbox going?
well, it's really hard to say for me right now, and also I didn't invest any money because I don't have any, of course. So I also
Okay.
maybe did not made enough research to understand where it's going. Of course, I invest myself by creating content, but it's only time, and I enjoy a lot doing it, of course. Mm, where to imagine Sandbox in 10 years? I don't know. We know that some metaverse um, will get out and will be leading one. Which one it is yet, we don't know. Sandbox have some very great point. The fact that it's user-generated content and that um, there will be some decentralized system. I mean, there are some many great points with Sandbox that are really nice. After, yeah, the price of the lands are so expensive that for me, I feel it's very strange that people would prefer to buy a piece of virtual land than a piece of real land, which is today almost same price in some countries. Um, and I mean, yeah, why not? Why not? You will tell me. But yeah, for me, I still prefer to invest in real lands than. But maybe I'm wrong, you know. Maybe I'm wrong. Um,
And of course, you have a blob, right? For everyone who still didn't know,
yes.
one blob comes with 1% of the sandbox land, and so that's the point. Basically, like we're gonna be building together into the sandbox because we have a land all together, both of us, but along with 98 other people.
98 already. Ah, no, they will
I mean,
be. Not
98
yet.
total.
Not yet. Not yet.
Yeah. So far, there are 80 other people. We're 82 so far.
So
It's going there, going there.
going there, yeah. That's
So I remember someone was asking how did we meet and how did you learn about the blobs and how did you join in?
basically it's Lions, another blob who is French, and
Lions, yeah, shout
uh,
out to Lions.
he invited me on his Discord, which is a French community for Sandbox Discord. And finally, I joined his Discord, talked with him, and he was telling me about the blobs. For now, at first I was like, yeah, okay, another NFT, and well, and finally he spoke again and again and again. I was like, okay, what is this blob in the end? And finally, I went to search, and I met Edik, and yeah, by talking with Edik, I got interested in the project, and yeah, went for it.
Nice. Yeah, it was actually very interesting to meet people like this, and I really thank Lions a lot to introducing us.
Yeah, I think
I
it's
mean,
great. He actually works a lot for the blobs. I think he is probably the
yeah.
most invest person in the blobs.
That's good. We had other ambassadors, but yeah, Lions is definitely a big of them. He's doing it for free, of course, right? Like we're not paying him on anything just because he likes the project, but he talks about it all day, and we're working together. Like we were working even the three of us for your at least Discord
Yeah.
for the French community. Like we're doing a bunch of stuff, and it's actually very interesting to work together, grow, and try new things. Try this new,
Yeah,
try to be active in this new industry.
finally with the blobs, what I feel great is not only the fact that we own a land. That I would say is just a plus. But what really comes from the blob is the community, the people we've met,
Yeah.
and finally the fact that we help each other to advance in the metaverse and yeah, in the crypto world eventually for people who are interested. And yeah, finally that's what makes the blob interesting, I think, more than the land. But of course the land is interesting too.
Yeah. Bro, that was actually an insane outro. Thank you so much, Alemus, for attending this podcast. Man, it was super interesting to learn more about you.
Thank you for inviting me. It was a great honor to be part of this first podcast. I mean,
Yeah, you're the very first guest. We're still gonna hold a pace of one a week, though. We're gonna be introducing new blobs, but it was really a pleasure to have you as our very first guest. Man, if people have any question for you, can they check out your website,
of
your
course,
email, send you an email maybe?
of course, they can contact me by mail, by Discord, even, or however they want.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
I'm really available, and I mean, I will answer any question you have, if I can answer them, and yeah, with pleasure.
Thank you again, Alemus. It was really a pleasure, and we'll keep speaking, of course, on Discord every day. We'll work together. Thank you for everyone who watched this until the end. We're really thankful if you appreciated this first episode of our podcast. If you have any question for me or for Alemus himself, you can join us on the Blobs Discord. You'll find the link in the description, of course. Um, and um, and yeah, I look forward to hosting the next one. Have a great day, everyone. Leave a like, leave a comment. If you have any question, you can also ask it in the comments. Subscribe to the channel, turn on the notifications bell. And do you have a last word, Alemus?
Not any special last word, but just thanks everyone for listening to it and my story. And
Yeah.
yeah, thank you everyone. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.